Alright. Hey guys. Guess this is the intro for Dreadnought Redux Part 5. Maybe with a lot of luck I'll actually get this out a little sooner than later, but we'll see. Famous last words. Last time it was much ado about this and the photo etch that accompanied this last staircase here. This time it's going to be much ado about getting this level of the boat done, and other than that, maybe you'll even get to see a bit of me making an engine for the engine room somehow. But that's neither here nor there. I think I got my work cut out for me, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let's do it. And I'll just say, quite a bit of work it was. So there's the start of my model there. And you'll see I've got the book just in the corner of the screen, the side there, and the where I've got my calipers. And as is the usual, I measure with the calipers what it is on the model, and I found that I can use a factor of 0.55 to multiply and still get very accurate, because it was like 0.5485 when I did it to 4 decimal places. So this is close enough, and I can do it reasonably accurately in my head, so that way I can film and convert at the same time. So what I'm doing there is I'm marking different places on this piece of strip where I'm going to be putting the doors for this bit. Doing a little bit more measuring there, and it looks like I'll be again adding yet another area for the door. And I do this quite a bit on a lot of these pieces. So as you see there, I'm adding the 2 doorways. This, I think, is the wall that's the sick bay, if I'm not mistaken, on. Okay, so you just saw me there, as I decided, I long bemoaned the fact that I had that lovely, glue from Micromark, that I didn't, have the utility of the Tamiya brush with that glue. So I figured, why not, pour it in there. So now what I'm doing is I'm making a set of doors out of styrene strip that I had laying by. These are sliding doors as far as I can tell from the plans. So I figured by having them be up on different positions on the styrene itself, I can actually put in those details and really add that realism. There we go. And there I am, just gluing things in. And again, I'm cutting out the other doorway. So this is how I've added doorways, is just by cutting things down to size on the strip I'm using as a inner wall. And I think that that's actually a really good way to do it. It's proven very effective, and I'm just using that scalpel blade to, trim things up, put it in the right position now before I go ahead and lay all the glue on there. That was a couple of minutes, and well, it was 10 times longer in real life, so yeah, it took a bit. So now I'm just measuring where certain interior walls are going to go. This is where like a office and then a water closet are going to be. So there I go. Just making sure things work. And this I'm just kind of eyeballing based on the plans. So I'm doing a bit of that as well. Just kind of arbitrarily, you could say. If it's small and something that looks like I could easily do it, then I do it. And if it's something I can get away with measuring that's a bit bigger, I'm liable to do that. So there I am, cutting this piece out, and I might even cut in a doorway to it. I do. Nice. So yeah, I cut a doorway into this piece, and I set it up right against its, door, or a wall there, and in position, glue it again a bunch of places. So the big area is a sick bay, the tiny thing is a water closet, and I think there's an office for an officer or something. That's the bigger room in those 3. I don't have the plan right next to me to tell you what's being made, but I can tell you, as I'm going along, what I'm doing. So I'm kind of measuring to make sure that I've gotten that straight or reasonably straight for that line I've put down. And now I'm going to go put the doors onto this piece like I did before. So apparently it's okay. So yeah, I'm just marking where some of these doors are going to go before just sort of roughly putting them on there, making sure that everything's going to fit nicely. And you'll note the way I kind of do my cuts and everything is just it makes it not only easier for me to cut, but so that my frame of reference is pretty good and accurate when I go ahead and cut these out and put it in position. So there I go. You'll also notice that these curve when I make the adjustments. So the what I ended up having to do is kind of bend it back into position just a little bit. And now I'm again cutting the doors. And the doors I made just from the same strip again, as I said, of the wall, and I just cut it down to a smaller size, so it's going to be shorter than the rest of that wall. Then I can just glue it over the open door positions to make them closed, or beside the open positions to make them open up. That makes it so that from one side you can see there's a sliding door and it's been closed, or the other side that, it makes it easy to see from both sides and to see that there's a door there. So I think it'll add to my ability to detail this as I go on. And now I'm just kind of cutting things down and making it match as good as I can. That looks like I got it just about right there. What's interesting is I had the nice, 90-degree bending tweezers, which are a lot better for this kind of work, and I didn't use them for this section of the model. And marvelous, and how the camera goes blurry. Let's see how many minutes this filmed. Hey, my hand fixed it. Wow, what's the old comic say? There ain't a problem I can't fix with you, with my hands! It's the Doom comic I was referencing, by the way, in case you missed it. Doom, as in D-O-O-M, as in that wonderful shooter game that those nice guys at id Software came up with. And again, here I am taking more measurements, roughly cutting this time for some of these pieces, just because it's easier, quicker. There's areas where I know I can save work by using all the other parts I've got, so I'll do so. I think here I've got a moment where I'm just looking at the plans. So you can just see the calipers I got up front. You can see my, me moving the camera slightly, hemming and hawing. There we go. I think this is how I did this. If I'm not mistaken, this might be where I've added some of the, Yeah, I was comparing that to the top piece for some reason. This may or may not be where I add. Either I'm adding more walls still, or this may be where I add the walls to the funnel that are angled. I'm still adding walls proper. Okay, good. So there I go. I take measurements again. And, yep, there we go. I measure just about how long these are going to be from each side. And I sketch everything out accordingly. I believe I sketched everything out first before I started even assembling. This may not be the case, and you'll see just this piece here while I hem and haw now eventually come up with an idea of how I want to do this. This is a lot of hemming and hawing. There we go. Okay, now he pulls his head out of his butt. So yeah, now I'm just carving things up to the appropriate size, adding them into the right positions, comparing, again, my piece versus the print. And as needed, as you can see here, I have a section that's going to need not only a door, but also a sliding door frame. And so I add all that in, I assemble it, hold it together, glue in place. Try to convince it to stay put. Probably re-glue in place because it didn't want to stay. Now I bemoan this in editing because the camera wants to stay blurry. Darned thing. You can still make out pretty well what I'm doing. Yeah, at least this thing seems to sort itself out reasonably well eventually. Maybe I should just keep its focus locked or something. But then if I move it around, it's going to be a pain for me to remember. It will sort itself out. It will sort itself out. And you can still see what I'm doing, so I'm still cutting up stuff. There we go. And again, I glue, and then you'll see me make another thing with a door and a side wall. There we go. Yep. And that's just me kind of dry fitting the piece there. Yep, there I go. I cut it to pieces. Making sure I've got everything, well lined up. Alright. There we go. And again, as I've said before, take another piece, cut it to size, add like a door. So that was one of the other big things I did with this floor, is adding these doors like this. And I really like the effect, and I can't wait to see what it's going to look like when painted. I just wish that this thing would learn how to focus on the right things right now, because so much footage has gone blurry. Come on, footage. It will eventually sort itself out. I just don't know when. So, yep, keep going, and there we are. Man, I thought I had it, and that didn't. So here I am again, marking areas out for where other rooms got to go, and making the appropriate markings and lengths on the piece here. And then, of course, my computer screensaver kicks in while I'm editing, so for the past few seconds, I missed a few details, probably. Now, with this piece cut down, I can oh, hey, marvelous. It actually works now. Good. So, now you'll get to see me again measure out areas and sketch out where room dividers are going to be, and then make appropriate marks on this piece so that I have something that I can use to make the sliding doors. And I'm going to try to stagger them a little bit so that some are open and some are closed, just to try to, make it look, not like every single door is open, because some doors would be closed, some guys would be sleeping, some guys would be awake. Judging by the statistics, some guys would probably be, well, you can guess. Come on. Yep, so there I go. Manipulate the little piece of plastic to make a door and push it in place, and okay, good, at least now it's actually paying attention to the right things. And yep, there I go, gluing it again. So this is going to be for, I think this is for a bunch of officers' quarters, as is one of the next things. I am rapidly approaching the end of this first section that I've got to tape, which is pretty nice. And to the tune of how many minutes, Mr. Speaker? So, yep, there we go. I'm gluing in 2 of the doors so that they'll be open, and I guess one of them I'm leaving closed. Yep. Oh, so about this Micromark glue, now that I've been using it with the Tamiya brush, it dries really fast. So if you're going to use it, you're going to need to use it pretty quick. And here I go now. I'm just cutting up the door sections that I'm going to use to separate all those rooms. And yep, then it's the standard put down and place with the tweezers. So yeah, I know 1 or 2 of you, if you're new, might find this a little boring, to which I'm going to say that I made it a point to try to show the entire process as much as possible, so that you could, be with me every step of the way, every nut, every bolt, every screw. I just figured this would be the easiest way not only to film, but also to, teach, share info if I've learned anything, and to, again, convey just how long these projects really are, which other channels don't seem to do so well. Well, them's the results of about 2 hours of my life well spent. So, in looking at that versus the one of the previous compartment on this level, I mean, I really got to say the level of detail, but already, I think is much improved. I know I'm getting into a bit of a premature post-mortem for this set of decks, but I am much happier with the quality that I've produced for this set, which is nice. I've still got areas where I think I can get better. I actually just thought of a thing to do too, but that'll require a bit of actual thinking and design on my part. Well, that's what a 3D printer helps you with, and that's what that's what our brains are for, is thinking up new solutions to things. But that's neither here nor there. So hopefully, I'll edit that section later, and hopefully the time lapse works nice. But all right, well, I'm going to go to bed now, and next thing will be a time-lapse of the next model-making session. And after a nice bit of rest, I go ahead and break out again the book, The Calipers, and I pick up where I left off on the other side of this deck section, putting in another set of, I think most of this was officers' quarters. There might have been a few higher up officers that were specifically called out on the plan, but there was mostly officers' quarters. So yeah, again, following the same methods, although this time I've shown you from a distance where you can see the kind of entire shop. And again, I compare the lengths that I need. I make the various cuts to where my doors need to be, and then after I cut them out, I bend the main piece a little bit after trimming away any excess. And I do that just to try to keep the resulting top edge of all those door frames straight. And then I go ahead and I cut out some doors, and I put them on after cutting them all down to size. And there we go. That is how we are forming a set of doors to a variety of little offices. And I'll talk about this later on in the towards the end of the video. I do kind of a mini post-mortem so far. But I am really happy with how this particular deck turns out. I'm not happy with all the photo etch stairs I used and the fact that I'm out of them now, which you'll see. But again, these things happen, and well, one of the lessons I've learned is I don't have to try to be super accurate, and that could ruin the aesthetic, depending on how I put things in. But that's neither here nor there. So there we are, cutting more doors, cutting more sections, and putting it into place. Using the glue after I've pinned it all down to make it stay together. And using the tweezers to just drop it gently in place. I've learned that I can use those tweezers without plastic pieces flying off, as long as I'm gentle with them. So that's what I've been doing to keep that working. So, yep. More glue, more walls. I think this is the kind of set of dividing walls in that compartment area. Before I think I go now and I do another set of walls. I think that gets right to the very... It looks like it gets to the very edge of that compartment almost. I'm sorry, I'm trying to see it from where I am now, and it's not quite happening. Oh, well, that's life. I don't know. Know any good jokes? I don't really know any good jokes. Yep, this is just me gluing and putting it in place. But as I said before, the big thing I like to do with this channel is show the whole process. So you get to see everything, all the mistakes, all the tedium, and the results. I figure, by doing it in time-lapse, I can convey the amount of effort and be reasonably economical of time, and hopefully it'll be amusing as well. So, yep, glue things in place, put them down. And that was a bit of just edge trimming you just saw me do. Just, when it's in position, I can still, even if it's put in place, I can still cut things with that scalpel. It's good and sharp. And now I mark some more locations and hem and haw about how exactly I want to put downstairs or whatnot. Or, if not stairs, and other things that get put down. Other little wall sections, I guess. So that looks like another doored wall section. It looks like I bumped the camera there. Yep, put it on the wall there and glue it in place when it's in the correct place. Alright, yeah, that looks like it's a piece of something a bit more, either it's the end of a set of quarters or it's the beginning of another one. Just not quite sure how those quarters worked, if I recall. I got the plane nearby, I could go dig it up, but, yeah, I mean, then I'm going to miss some of this, the recording session, and as you can tell by my voice, I'm a little tired, so I do want to go to bed. So there I go. I keep hemming and hawing, wondering what to do now. And eventually I settle on something, probably adding some more walls somewhere. Just trying to figure out where from here, and I'll tell you. Looks like it was the very end of something. Or maybe it was a... okay, that looks right. Okay. So, that's rapidly approaching the area of done. Here we go. Here's the fun thing that I do. So, to get the funnel to angle right, I grabbed a thick, the old 10 thou or 100 thou by 15 thou thick strips that I had that I'd previously been using. This is what I use now to make these angled sections of wall for the funnel. And by doing that, and I do it with the lower section too, you may even see that later in this, we're going on 20 minutes now, and it doesn't end until just about 35, so yay! But yeah, now I'm gluing them in place, getting them to angle, and then I'm using those photo etch scissors I got to really get the precision in there, so you can see how this thing's angled and kind of separate from all the other stuff. Not a detail I added the last time or thought to add the last time, so this time on this section of decks I'm doing it. It's a little thing, to add and improve and all that fun stuff. So there I am using calipers again to add the mechanical pencil to make various measurements. I know I'm adding something, and I'm trying to think of what am I adding. I could be adding a staircase or something. That wouldn't surprise me. Okay, here's a different view, and this one gives a slightly, but okay. So I was adding a center room section there, using the pencil to trace that in after measuring certain points of it. So yeah, this is another set of rooms. This actually connects to the ventilation of the engine room beneath, which is an important thing, and then it goes up to the deck after. I think this and one of the rooms below it would have had like a bunch of ventilation machinery or something, kind of blow air in or out or whatnot. So that kept it breathable down there. But there's another funny little thing I noticed, and you'll see it in a few minutes. I'll keep you in suspense, I guess. But at the moment, I'm just adding different, different things to the room piece itself, so that it'll be able to be assembled, and just making sure things are equally apart before totally committing, as well as getting a proper measurement of how wide the room is, and then putting on the various wall sections. So there would be one on each end of this set of rooms, and then one in the middle to kind of separate where some of the ventilation shafts and whatnot would be versus where that machinery would be. And then when I get that in place, I glue it down. I think this is just about it. Now I'm just cutting it to size little bit by little bit, manually adjusting. This is one of the other tedious things that, to do it at all right, you got to do it like this. It looks like I, messed up some. Oh yeah, I must have gotten a little too thin. So what I will do if I get something too thin is I'll actually use this really thin strip of 10 thou by 20 thou wide to fill in the gaps. So there we go. Now I refer to the plan again to see what I'm missing, what I can add, what I can subtract. And there's a lot of hemming and hawing. There we go. Wondering about how to keep it flat or how to add the next details. There we go. So there I just, I guess I did a little, okay. So now I'm adding another stairwell section and cutting that through. And then we're going to put it back into the rest of the boat hull. Like I do with the other sections to get them to line up. I cut the top deck out first, then I put it on the lower deck, and once I've got them good and aligned, I use that mechanical pencil to trace out where these stairs are. And here's a photo etch sheet that I made that had some stairs on it. And through a lot of them that I have to chew through, I do end up getting a usable staircase. Operative word A. Yeah, photo etch is just I wish I had lower attrition rates, and I wish I was better at it. Although I'd like to think I'm improving at the process overall, because look at these results. Alright. So here we are. So, yep, there we are. Taking things down and trying to get this piece of photo etch. It was almost, but not quite good, to actually fully fold and be a usable thing. And this is one of the ones that falls down, I think. This might have been like one that's somehow... Nope. Yeah, so I gotta go do it again. Wonder if I should put like some kind of, tally counter. So, how many of these things I have dropped on the floor. It feels like it should be in the hundreds by now. I'm sure it's not, but it feels like it should be. It is annoying that happens. But again, that's life. So I think I must have flutzed that one up because I'm going for yet another staircase off of this little fret I've made. And come on, get off of there, you. Or, oh, no, that's what I did. I'm sorry. I must have decided to fold it in place on the fret to try to make it not fall down as easily. And I guess it must have worked because now I'm trying to super glue it into position. And while the micromark thing for the plastic glue didn't work so good, this thing for the super glue works amazing. And another amazing fact is that joke I mentioned earlier comes in right about now. Just briefly want to show this. So the plans say that there's some stairs that would go here and here, which are supposed to be, that little bit behind the ones I'd made. Don't know about you, but that actually seems to line up pretty well with what I've gotten here. Hooray. Oh, sweet. Oh, that actually looks like it works. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, I'm happy now. Alright. But enough of my silliness. Back to my life, trying to figure out how to put the insides into this thing. I'm sorry, you know what else is amazing? My memory. It's amazingly poor. Looks like it's like the next section coming up where I have the little joke moment. But again, I put in more pieces now. Yep, I think there's some room there or some vent or something that goes at that final point or starts there. Not sure if it was like a supply room or something. I'm sure I'll know what it is and look up to it to see what I put in there when I'm fleshing everything out. Sorry to keep you waiting for this joke I've very much buoyed up. I'll be honest, it's not the funniest, but, well, yeah, I figured try to give you something to look forward to besides the end of this thing. Hopefully you've enjoyed listening to my mellow, soothing voice, or, I don't know, at least found this entertaining. So now I'm looking up the information that actually spurs a lot of laughing and my joke. Alright, so, before I go and finish this funnel section here, I was curious about this thing right here, because it's saying, engine ventilators and stuff. I'm like, well, okay, that kind of works. And that makes sense down there, too, even though it's supposed to be like a bigger room and such. When I look at it, it's like it's supposed to be maybe down even here or something, but these line up, so... Yeah, not quite sure. But, again, I do have to take some artistic license, and some things are going to be not 110% accurate. This is pretty wide. This is actually kind of narrow. I mean, probably not by as much as I think, but it's definitely something to think about. But, the vents are there, so I'm like, okay, so there's your ventilation. And it has to happen on this number 18. What is 18? Ice-making machinery. You know what? I'm just gonna come out and say it. No wonder why the Brits got mauled at the Battle of Jutland. They were sending cruise liners in a battle. Okay, I kid. But, yeah, it was David Beatty, I guess, that said that line of seems to be something wrong with our bloody ships today. So, here I am cutting two sections of the .100 tall strip, or wide strip, I should say. and angling it appropriately on its floor sections, or relative to the floor section, so I can use it in my funnel. Have it kind of follow to where the engine is and actually convey some of this three-dimensional structure. So there I go, pushing things in, holding it down with the tweezers, and then gluing it in position. And there I go now, and this is going to be a lot of looking and hemming and hawing, so I'm going to do us both a favor, actually, and edit some of this out at least to make things just a little bit shorter. And a few moments shorter it is. So here's where I start. This is probably towards the end of me trying to make a staircase with plastic yet again, and sadly failing. Not only dropping it, also realizing it doesn't look that good. So here I go, cut the last piece I've got out, and to start trying to fold things up. No, this might be where I try to do the plastic first. Sorry, hold on. Is it? Looks like it is. Looks like it is. Maybe I just used the metal for something. But there I go, folding things and cutting things to size and trying to make it all work. But again, making stairs in this scale out of styrene strip just isn't working for me. So I eventually do switch back to the very last piece of plastic, or sorry, piece of photo etch that I have. And somehow I'm able to convince it to work. So here we go. Nope, that was the one that I lost. So had it all nice to go, and then I had to go do it again. So, alright. I must have had one piece of photo etch I was working on first. But I did try again a piece of plastic setup, and it didn't quite work. But there I am, folding this thing down, and I think this one I drop, but I find, miracle, and then I proceed to just start folding that thing back up and getting it to the correct shape, and eventually putting it down and using that wonderful little super glue applicating tool yet again. So, and I just make sure that's good. I start cleaning up the shop a little bit, looking to see, do I have any other staircases at all, and finding that I don't. So unless I want to add, accept the inaccuracy, which I might as well at this point, just to try and keep things going, I'd have to photo etch again, and I just don't have the kit for that right now. All right. I've consumed my last passable staircase, so I can't add all the staircases to this guy. But in keeping with one of the lessons I learned, I'm actually gonna not be a super stickler for accuracy. I mean, I do have some leeway here. This is the test model, This is the prototype for, well, actually it is appropriate. It is kind of like, the essential battleship. But yeah, this is the test run for methods I use for the Bismarck. So overall, I'm actually quite pleased with this section of the hull. I'm really happy that I went with using multiple, two features that went through multiple decks, or all the decks, to make a sort of frame of reference, so I could build one on top of the other and have things line up really good. This will especially be nice if if I want to try to actually have a something representing the come on, get back there, grumble. Yeah, representing the oh, what is it? Up the thing from the gun that actually brings up ammunition and such. The elevator, the shell elevator. I think that's what that's called. For when I do a turret, and I will be doing a turret, at least one, to try to show the mechanism of that turret, as it were. But that's neither here nor there. The other thing with this is it was a really good thing of me to cut out doorways before gluing down. That was a good thing that I got much better at doing in this section of the boat. And using different cutout sections, not like the exact cutouts I'd made, but cutouts of that same sheet for putting in doors. If there was hinged doors, this wouldn't be so good. But for a lot of these were sliding doors, I guess, and that was actually a good move on my part to have this, have these things slide and whatnot. Going from there. going from there, why is my brain going blank at the worst possible times? Yeah, the other trick I did, where I would have, if I had a staircase, I would actually do the hole for it in the deck above first, and then trace down with that, mechanical pencil. This guy here, all those times you saw me digging around there, that was a good move on my part. That I'm really happy about, because that means I've got, things to better line up as they are in the boat, which is my main way of presenting it when people are, when I open it up and show people if I do. So there's that. The thinner stock, I don't like that this has such a big space now. But really, because these things potato chip so much, and it's not just potato chipping, it's also, properly leaving enough space for this to really line up right. That is actually the biggest reason to move away from this that I found, is because these walls, this adds up. When this adds up, and you press it down, it's really good, but it's not really all that good. Yeah, I needed to better do the thing for the decks, and it didn't quite work out as well as I wish it had for the main deck of the boat, fitting on here flat. I think what I'll do is, since this is the prototype, I'll just leave this out as an example of one of the rooms or something. Maybe when I display it, I'll say, hey, an example of how the ship looked inside or something, or not. But I'll think of something. Maybe I'll just leave this out like a separate thing in the stand. So yeah, but that is really it. I think. I'm trying to think if I remember anything else, and I really don't. So overall, I'm actually very pleased with this section of the boat. So now that I've added my last bits of the staircases and pretty well done my cutouts of everything, next up's going to be making some facsimile of the engine room, 3D printing it, the engines, and then from there I'll probably be I'll probably be working on adding the little interior bits like beds and desks and chairs, which I've got plenty of. Those I do not have in short supply. Those I have in abundance. Yay. So there's that. Alright, till then, hope you all enjoyed. And, alright. Peace out.